in the car company example, they were so caught up in their own success. They lobbied government. Government sort of wrote rules to limit what they could do. And then all of a sudden there's this electric car that comes along that doesn't run like a golf cart, but it runs extraordinarily fast. It's a breakthrough. And those breakthroughs happen occasionally, and they are the hardest to invest in.
Why?
Because, well, in the case of both of those, 8 out of the 10 partners at Draper Fisher Jurvetson were saying no.
Really? 8 out of 10 thought it was a bad idea.
And the rest were and the two of us were pushing. And eventually they sort of, well, okay, do it, but less or whatever. A little less so with SpaceX, because SpaceX, we already knew Elon was capable of extraordinary things.
Why did you think that? So you guys invested in Tesla early, right? And in some ways, it's an insane idea to just go build an American car company in general, right, at that time. Now, there's still people who think it's an insane idea, but at least there's some traction. Why did you think Elon Musk was so different than other entrepreneurs that you all had met? Well,
before we backed Elon, we backed Martin Eberhard in the electric car business. Because Tesla was started by Martin Eberhard. It actually started before that. I got this ride with Ian Wright, who took me on his Wright mobile.
Okay.
And he said, and I said, oh, great, it's an electric car. This will be like riding in a golf cart. And he strapped me in with 5-point straps. And I said, what? Wait, what? And I was thinking, you got to be a tree hugger or a golfer to want an electric car. And he said, no, stay strapped in. And he took me out on 280, and we went 0 to 60 so fast. And the car was sort of held together with PVC tubing and stuff. and we're on the freeway, and I'm just going, oh my God, this is amazing. This is a big breakthrough. And then he took me around, and then he said, now watch this. And we were maybe 40 feet from a stop sign going about 60 miles an hour, and he stopped before the stop sign. And I went, oh boy, this is a whole different level in automotive. And then there were all these restrictions, and the lithium ion batteries blow up and all that stuff. And then I just studied the electric car industry. I went out and looked at all the different hobbyists who are building electric cars, and they all mentioned Tesla. And the reason they mentioned Tesla was that he had worked out something where he could have multiple lithium batteries, and one could blow up and the car would still go. And you get more torque if you run all the batteries at the same time. So then we met with him, and it was it was a push to get it through our partnership. But then we got it done. And so I really do believe that the hardest investments to make are the ones that pay off the best.
Yeah.
And so if it feels like, it's hard to put money, like it's easy to put money in when Bitcoin's at 67,000, yes. And it's hard to put money in when Bitcoin's at 15 or 16,000. And that kind of, people call it contrarianism, but I don't think it's exactly contrarianism, because we're actually trying to catch a wave that's really important long term. So the one thing that I do is I filter out entrepreneurs where they're not doing something that I believe is fundamental or will change society or will transform humanity or will do something extraordinary for the world. If they're not doing something like that, I figure there are other venture capitalists who can back that. They can just do it for, do it for the money, whatever.
Yeah.
We end up making more money than they do, but it's just because we make more mistakes. We are willing to fail, and when we succeed really big, and the world changes.
Yeah. I'm not an expert on this, so you kind of tell me what I should know. There's a bunch of controversy. Elon says he started Tesla. Martin says they started Tesla. Whatever. How do you kind of just think about like when you have something that gets really big? There's a lot of people who are like, I was early, right? You even see this with employees, the whole thing. I've met people who are like, I was an early employee at X company. I'm like, oh, really? Like, when did you join? You're like, that's 4 years after the company started, and you're the 1,000th employee. And sometimes it's relative of like, if they have 50,000, being 1,000 is early. If they have 1,500, maybe it's not so early. How do you think through that? And like, does it even matter? Like, I think
Success
it's maybe like the bigger
breeds a lot of friends and a lot of founders, and then failure everybody runs away from.
Yes, of course.
And that is a natural thing. And I think I'm a little weird that way, in that I'm willing to take unpopular stances. I'm willing to be unpopular for a while, so that then down the road, the world will improve. And often people see that maybe what they're talking about isn't actually right, but they go ahead and talk about it anyway. And I think that that's human nature. They don't want to be sort of left out and perceived as a failure. They want to be perceived as a success. So they sort of say, I attach myself to this, not this. The movie business is very much that way.
In what way?
Everybody's a part of, Star Wars from the beginning, and nobody's a part of Yendel or whatever. Nobody's a part of the ones that were bombed.
The failures.
And that's definitely true in the venture business. So that does happen.
Yeah.
It's a thing. And Elon was a part of the founding of Tesla, but Martin Eberhard was the original CEO, and that's one we backed. And then they ran out of money, and Elon said, I'll put in 10 million, but I don't like the way this is going. I've got a better way to go. We were very welcoming to Elon. He did an incredible job. I mean, he got this huge government loan, $400 million. He bought the NUMMI plant from the Ford, I guess, for about 5 cents on the dollar.
Wow.
He basically set up for greatness, and he was willing to sort of lay it all on the line. And there were times when he had to lend money from his own pocket to keep the thing going. He had to do so much to make it all work. And he did the same for SpaceX. And really, there were times at SpaceX when things were very tough. 3 rockets in a row blew up, and he still had that faith and that determination. And I think he's probably going to be able to do that with Twitter too.